Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry, this is Shahira. I'm so sorry for the delay to upload your materials for e-learning. So let's move on to the next chapter. Okay, so as you can see on your screen, this is actually should be chapter number 4, elasticity, right? So what is elasticity? Elasticity refers to degree of responsiveness. Okay, you have to know that. The previous chapter basically we learn about supply and demand only, which is according to the law of demand, quantity increase. When the price increase, quantity demanded will be decreased. And then also the same thing goes to the law of supply. When your price increase, so you as a rational supplier, you're going to increase more your supply. All right. However, the previous chapter actually just only give you the movement. Okay, increase or decrease, but you cannot determine the magnitude, how much. When the price increase by this percentage, how much it will be decreased. If let's say we talk about law of demand, the same thing for the law of supply. When the price increase by 1%, how much you as the supplier will increase your quantity supply. So that's why we need to cover elasticity in order for you to determine the magnitude. Alright, that's why it said that elasticity refers to degree of responsiveness. So we have here, as you can see here, we have three types of elasticity of demand. Okay, the price elasticity of demand, the income elasticity of demand, and then the third one is the cross price elasticity of demand. So let's move on to the first one. Okay, so the price elasticity of demand. Okay, the word. Okay, here, demand. So actually this is come from the law of demand. You know that when the price increase, quantity demanded will be decreased, because you as the rational consumer, you would like to buy something with the lower price, but at the same time can fulfill your satisfaction. So here so this is the short form EP. EP measures, or price elasticity of demand, measures how much of the quantity demanded of a good response to a change in the price of that good. So for chapter of elasticity, make sure you know that these two types of curve. Alright, so this is elasticity when it's elastic. Okay, why it's elastic? Because 1% increase, okay, 1% increase in your price, your quantity demanded will be decreased more than 1%. Right, that's why this is we call as a elastic price elasticity of demand, where the curve is elastic. Okay, the demand curve is much more flatter. Okay, on the other hand, for the inelastic, inelastic demand curve, you will see that your demand curve should be much more steeper. Okay, much more steeper means that the moment price increase by 1%, okay, 1%, this is only a numerical example. Okay, it could be 10%, it could be 50%. Okay, it depends. All right, it depends on the information given during your exam or during your midterm or any quiz. So here, okay, you can see that 1% increase in quantity demanded. 1% increase in the price will decrease your quantity demanded less than 1%. Okay, the movement. So here is the formula. Okay, I know that majority of you know about this formula. Okay, especially those who already took microeconomics during your Form 6, during your matriculation, or some of you from diploma. So this is the very basic formula. Okay, EP equals to percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. Alright, so since this is talking about price elasticity of demand, okay, price elasticity of demand, so your answer will be negative. However, because why? Because price increase, quantity demanded will be decreased. Okay, so you actually only concentrate on the absolute value only. Alright, the negative you should ignore it. Okay, we will go through this when you do the tutorial questions. Okay, even though you know about the basic formula, okay, during your when you have, because you have learned this, okay, from the previous level. But most of the books, international books, okay, I'm talking about international books, they actually use midpoint formula. All right. So what is the difference? The difference only this part, okay, where you need to divide it, okay. Q2, okay, we see this one first. Q2 minus Q1 over P2 minus P1. Okay, this is what? This is changes. Okay, this is changes. So the only thing, okay, the only thing that different is here. Okay, the midpoint formula where you plus quantity 1 plus quantity 2 over 2, and then P1 plus P2 over 2. Okay, only this part. Alright. So during your exam, okay, especially for your final exam, let's say this topic come out in your in the examination. So make sure you read carefully the question. If the question stated that you need to use midpoint formula, then you have to use the midpoint formula in your answer. Alright. If not, you're going to get the different answer. If let's say you use this formula instead of this formula. Alright, midpoint formula. Alright. So what are the determinants of price elasticity? Price elasticity of demand. Okay. So we have few factors, okay, that can determine its elasticity. Alright. I know that in your textbook is slightly different, but actually they're talking about the same thing. Alright. So the first one is the availability of the substitute. Okay, the goods with close substitute tend to have more elastic demand because it is easier for consumers to switch from that good to another. Yeah. For example, let's say you would like to buy a shirt, okay, a t-shirt, or maybe a blouse, a shoes, okay. Since blouse, t-shirt, shoes, okay, they have actually many substitute. All right. So let's say you interested to buy Nike. No Nike. Let's say you're really interested to buy Nike shoes, okay? Nike shoes. So the moment price of the Nike shoes increase, you actually have a possibility not to buy Nike shoes. Maybe you would like to buy Adidas Adidas shoes. Because why? Because Nike, Adidas, and what else? Any sport shoes name brand, they have a many substitute actually. So you can, the moment you can make comparison and you can see the closest substitute, you will not buy the original one because the price is going to increase. The price is already increased, so you switch your option to the product that much more relatively cheaper than the first one. Okay, so we can say that close substitute means its demand, it's more elastic. Hold on. Okay. The second determinant is, we have to know, necessities versus luxuries. Okay. If the product is luxuries, so it means that it's elastic. Why? Because there's an option for you as a rational consumer or rational household to not to back away from the market, or you will decide not to buy the good or service because it's luxury. You don't have to, it's actually wants needs instead of necessity needs. Okay, wants, kemahuan berbanding dengan keperluan. Alright. For example, maybe handbag, branded handbag like Coach, okay, or maybe for guys you really like playing golf whatsoever, okay, golf or games, okay. Games, I don't know, games, is it considered luxury? Maybe some of people can assume that games is a luxury, yeah, because not everybody can buy PlayStation, PS2, yeah, okay, PS2 or PS whatever, etc., etc. Okay, so it's quite a luxury instead of necessity, isn't it? So the product or the service that we consider as luxury, you actually still have option not to buy it. Okay, you will start. That's why we said that luxury goods should having elastic demand. instead of inelastic, right? Because household can back away from the market, then they can stop buying it if the price keep on increasing. In opposite to luxury goods, it's necessity goods. Okay, necessity goods means that you have to buy regardless the price increase. You have to buy it, okay, because you need it in your daily life, right? For example, what rice, sugar, yeah, more on, I think it's, we can say that food, okay, food product or food that, the product that you need it daily. Okay, so you need to buy it regardless if the price increase, you still have to buy it. Yeah, you will cut down some of the quantity, okay, however you still buy it, isn't it? So that's why when the product is necessity, the tendency, the elasticity should be inelastic, because the moment price increase only 1%, you will demand less, the quantity demanded, however in the smaller portion, compared to the increase in the price, okay. And then in terms of definition of the market, more narrow defined market means more elastic. Why? Because it's easy to find substitute. Okay, yeah, it's easy to find substitute. And then in terms of time horizon, the longer time horizon, demand will be elastic. Short time horizon, demand tend to be elastic. Okay, example, okay. Example here, let's say the price of rice increase in the short run. So you as a rational consumer, you don't have any choice but to buy to consume rice, okay. So in the short term, your demand will be inelastic, because the price increase, 1% increase in price, you're going to demand the rice in the smaller percentage increase compared to your price increase. All right. Or say, okay, I give you here, give you the example. Okay, so we're talking about time horizon. This should be T. Yeah, because this is quite difficult, I have to use this. Okay, demand. So let's assume this is demand for rice. Okay, I'm so sorry. This is the best that I can do. Okay, because I have to use mouse to draw this. Okay, let's say this is P0, and your quantity demanded for rice is Q0. So 1% increase. Okay, 1% increase in rice. Okay, price. 1% increase in price. So let's say the price increase from P0 to P1. P1. Your quantity demanded will be decrease. Yes. Remember, law of demand, price increase, quantity demanded will be decrease. However, the quantity demanded decrease less than 1% increase in your price. Alright, I repeat, if it's inelastic, okay, we're talking about time horizon. Why time horizon? Okay, time horizon means that the shorter the time horizon means that you cannot do anything. Okay, the longer time horizon means that you can find the substitute to substitute the goods that you are really interested to buy. Alright,